Hey, this is Russ. Yeah, I'm out here with the Vanpowers Manidae. Yeah, I like this bike a lot, actually. It's kind of a minimalist styled approach to biking, but man, this thing's got some power. 85 Newton meters of torque. Yeah, 8 speeds on it. Yeah, it's a nice bike. So we're gonna do a range test on it today and show you what I've done to it. As you can see, I've added a bag. That's where I keep all my trusty tools. I changed out the saddle. I put a Bikeroo saddle on there, as I usually do. Put a bottle cage. That is a smaller bottle. The triangle is a little bit smaller in there. The battery is a 48 volt, 14 amp hour battery, so we'll see how much mileage we can get. What else did I put on here? I changed out the bell. It's my favorite bells. And of course a cell phone holder and a rear view mirror, side view mirror technically. All right, let's get on this thing. Yeah, this bike definitely has some power. When you ride it, it just gets moving quickly. So the weather outside right now is the low 70s, probably like 71, 72 at most. It's a bit warmer than yesterday. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ride around the street levels again. Last time I did a review for the range test, I took it out on the streets as well. I had been doing the 3-mile path we usually go on for past rides, but I figured it's actually better for me to know what the real world usage of my batteries are, because obviously if we just went around in circles non-stop, throttled it conservatively, of course, our battery ranges would probably be larger. But I felt that wasn't as realistic. It's better to ride it like you normally would ride it, you know, without going crazy and, you know, like throttling hard all the time or anything like that. But to ride it well. Well, here we go there. And that way we have a better idea of what the true ability of the battery is. You know, this is a 48 volt, 14 amp hour LG cells in here. These are good cells. Hopefully we'll get decent range out of it. Now, because of the fact that I don't know how far we really can go initially, we can't go too far because you got to be able to get back. So let's take a big estimation of what we might be able to get. I'm going to say we should be able to get at least 22, 23 miles, I would tend to think, out of the battery. So if we split that in half, I shouldn't go more than 11 or 12 miles away, so that I have 11 or 12 miles to get back. And then if the battery actually has more range than that, then at that point then we'll just ride around in circles until we exhaust the battery. And then we'll know exactly how far we can go. And as I mentioned in past videos from other reviews, these things are just indications based on my own weight, my own riding styles, my own terrain. I am 63 years old, about 255 pounds. I'm riding on fairly level ground. We don't really have many hills here in the Chicago suburbs, so I tend to throttle as well as pedal, and I'm going to keep my pedal assist levels no higher than pedal assist level 3, so probably between 2 and 3. I typically will throttle from a stop, so I will throttle up to get started, and that eats a lot of battery right there, because Usually when you hit the throttle right from a dead stop, it'll spike it to the highest ability of wattage usage. So, but that's how I ride. So it's better that I do it, and that way I'll know what the battery really will do for me. And you should check your own based on your own riding abilities. Now, the other information about the bike, I've already done a review of the bike, and I'll put a link there so that you can watch that review as well. We won't have to repeat too much of that stuff. Just watch that review. It'll give you my impressions of what I thought the bike was and what components are on the bike and the like. And of course, visiting Vanpowers directly on their website, you can read all the specifics that you want about it. So the brakes on this particular bike are mechanical disc brakes, but they're 203 millimeter rotors on here. I think that's what makes all the difference in the world for these brakes. Even though it's mechanical, it does stop really well. Now the throttle is not attached to the bike when you get the bike. It's set up separately, so if you don't want to put a throttle, you don't have to. If you put a throttle, I suggest you put it on the left-hand side, because on the right-hand side you have your gear shifters, and these are lever shifters, of course. All right, we're going to stop here. And so there's not a whole lot of room on this side to put a throttle here. So I just put my bell on the right side, and then my throttle is on my left. I'm going to pass this person here. So we're just using the trip meter to find out how far we're actually going to be able to go. Now, typically from a dead stop like that, you should gear down with your shifters, or do as I have typically done, is use your throttle to get you going. But let's gear down here. So I'm going to lower my gears way down as I approach the stop. That way when I pedal, it's not a hard pedal. And then I'll just trigger shifter myself up as I gain some speed. That is the proper way of doing it. But as you know, I don't always do things the proper way. Like here, I'll just hit the throttle, pedal a little bit, get myself up to speed, let go of the throttle, then I just continue to pedal at a higher gear. I'm on gear 7 out of 8 right now. Halloween decorations are out. This house has got a bunch of it. Yeah, overall the ride on the Vanpowers bike is really nice. It is actually one of my more favorite bikes. Now people may say, well, I've never heard of this brand before. Well, get used to it. It's starting to come up. You'll see me riding it more often. Yeah, the thing is, there's so many new brands of e-bikes out there, making a decision which brands to review and which brands to consider. I chose the Vanpowers because I said it seems to have a lot of the components that that I would like on it, and it doesn't have a whole lot of other things on it. It's just really a minimalist approach. Like I mentioned in the other review, the one thing I wish they did have was fenders, and they told me that they are going to be working on that to be able to put on some fenders on this bike. I mean, if you want the more rugged look, you don't put the fenders on, right? But on a practical level, having the fenders will keep you from getting splashed if you run over some water. You know, on dry land like this, you know, you don't really need the fender, but yeah, it pays off later when you have some wet pavement. All right, so we're gonna cross Palatine Road here. This is probably the busiest road. We don't actually ride on this, and when we do, we ride on the slower section of Palatine Road. It's kind of a divided highway. Part of it is fast, part of it is slow. We would go on the slow one, of course, if we ride on it, but not here. This is the 45 miles per hour zone. Yeah, you don't ever want to go on that. Vanpowers is rated at 28 miles per hour. I've never actually been able to get it to that speed. I have been able to get it to 25. So where shall we go today as we're testing out? This is pretty much the path that we've always taken when we get out of the general area, when we start out. Let's go down some more. We'll take the same general paths that we always do. I think being on the street is a little bit easier, in my opinion, sometimes, than riding on bike paths. You don't have to deal with other bike riders and walkers and joggers and rollerbladers. Of course, you do have the cars to deal with, but in general, I can keep going, is my point. All right, we do have stop signs. That is one thing you do have. All right, we'll take a left here. Typically during an intersection, I will throttle up pretty hard. I want to get out of that intersection as fast as I can. You can have accidents that will probably happen at an intersection. Yeah, today's a nice day to ride. It's got a little bit of a breeze. I've got a long sleeve shirt on, long pants on. Actually, in this weather, I probably could still be on shorts. We're going to be running out of good weather soon. As far as pedaling, the sensor is a cadence sensor. It is not a torque sensor. So as long as you keep your legs moving, you're going to get full power out of the bike. Now, I remember that there's a bump right here. So slowing down. The last couple times I went over that thing, I was going pretty fast. Didn't remember that they had a bump there, and yep, you could feel it. So we're going to try to keep our speed roughly, I would say anywhere between 16 and 22 miles per hour. It's kind of a large range, but probably closer to 18 to 22 miles per hour is usually where I usually will ride at. You know, the one thing I didn't mention, I think, on my original review of the Vanpowers is how nice the frame is on this bike. You know, many of the bikes today, you'll see the weld points, and although a lot of them actually do a good job in the welding, this one you don't see any welds. Yeah, it's smooth. Every edge is smooth. Now, I don't know how they do that, but it sure looks a lot nicer. It is also the one bike that I have in gray. Most of my bikes are usually black or white, so I appreciated getting a gray bike, something that's a little bit different. Yeah, and I really like these shifters. These are made by Shimano. So you push it down here, it goes to a lower gear, pull up over on this other one, there's one underneath here, and it goes to a higher gear. So it's a push and pull. Whereas one of the other bikes I have, it's made by SRAM. It's push down here for lower and then swing your thumb around and push the other one. This one you don't. You just kind of keep your hand on the grips and then just shift as you need to on the right hand side. That's kind of nice. Alright, so I'm going to ride for a while. It's going to be a while before I have much more to report. But I'll get back to you and let you guys know how the progress is. And then as we get towards the end of the ride, I'll give you my final report as to what our end result was for the total mileage. All right, stay tuned. All right, time for an update. So right around 12 miles, I dropped 1 bar out of 5 on my battery meter. And here we are at about 15 or 16 miles. I noticed I had dropped another bar. So we're now at 3 out of the 5 bars. I'm at 17.5 miles as far as my ride. So I rode out to the Prospect Heights Trail again, just came back from there. And we'll just continue on. I think so far the sorry, I had to knock a bug off my arm. So far we're doing pretty good, I think. We got 17.5 miles already, and we still have 3 out of 5 bars. I think we're going to do pretty well. Anyway, stay tuned. I'll give you more updates as we get closer to the end. All right, time for an update. I am now down to 1 bar. I was at 2 bars when I hit around 16 and a half miles. I'm down to 1 bar. I'm at 21 miles. I've got a little bit of distance to go in order to head back in the general area where I usually am. So hopefully we'll make it there. Might be close. But so far 21 miles. Now the thing with the Vanpowers, it's let me turn this map thing off here. If the power goes down, then you lose your trip meter. So I have to kind of keep an eye on it, because if it goes down by itself without me knowing it, I won't know what the end mileage is. So I'm going to keep an eye on the mileage at this point. Being that we're down to 1 bar, some of the bikes, as we saw, 1 bar gave me 6 more miles. I don't know if that'll be the case here, and that's the reason why you need to do these test yourself to find out how your bike reacts to the meter. You know, 1 bar could mean you only got a mile left and it'll die, or 1 bar could mean you've got 6 more miles. So I'll let you guys know what happens. But right now we're at 21.4 miles. Now I've been keeping an eye on my wattage meter down here as well. And based on how I have been throttling and how I've been pedaling seems to have been giving me anywhere between, let's say 280 to 450 watts of usage. Throttling could jump up. Like I just slightly throttled just to move forward a little bit. You can see it's already up to 700 and something. I'll let up a little bit, and then as it catches itself back up, then the wattage usage will drop at that point. So what's your guess? I'm guessing we'll hit 23 miles. That's my guess. Now every time I've made a guess, I've been wrong. It's giving me more than that. So we'll see. A lot of these bikes too, it seems to get sluggish towards the end. Right now it still has quite a bit of power. I'm just feathering the throttle a little bit, hoping that it gets me back to where I need to go, that I don't have to pedal this thing home, which would be tougher. But this is a lighter bike than some of the other bikes, but still, you know, in general, e-bikes are still fairly heavy. The nice part is though that the Shimano shifter here is kind of nice, and getting down to the lowest gears, yeah, you could be pedaling pretty easily, I think, even without any assist. Let's drop the assist levels here. Let's drop it down to 0. So now we're not using any battery. So I am on gear, what am I at? Gear 4? I could pedal at gear 4. Let's drop it to 3. Yeah, I could pedal at 3. 4, let's see, 5. 5 starting to get a little more resistance. I could pedal at gear 4 at 0 if I had to, but man, look how slow we're going. We're doing like 9.5 miles an hour. Now going up a slight incline here. Gear 3. Yeah, you're doing like 8 miles an hour. Yeah, it's a little too slow for me. Let's go back to pedal assist level 3. There we go. That's just the way I am. I need my assist. But yeah, worst case, if I had to pedal it back, I could do it. So your guess is as good as mine where this will end. Anyway, I will say my goodbyes at this point. I'll put a graphic up, let you know how far we actually were able to go. But we're on the tail end of it at this point, I think. Take a guess, put a comment as a guess. Anyways, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We'll do more regular rides as well as battery endurance tests coming up soon. Talk to you guys later.